Tim
So,
Harrison, good morning, sir.
morning.
Everybody, welcome to Between Two Hedges. Glad to have Timothy Harrison joining us. For those on the call right now, if this is your first time, we're in a webinar format, so everyone's on mute, but we encourage you to send in your questions. We want this to be interactive, and so please send in questions. We'll allot some time at the end to answer those, but glad to have the most recently minted graduate of Rice University here joining us, Tim Harrison. So, Tim, I want to jump right in, man. We'll start off on your path to Rice a little bit, and I'd love for folks who don't know your story, if you would tell them kind of more about yourself, and we'll kick off as a kid on you, where you finished your career as a Division I athlete, but that wasn't always the forecast when you were younger. So I'll let you take the mic, man.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like when I was young, I remember that I wasn't able to walk like at the same age that most kids were able to walk. And so my parents, they took me to the doctor, and the doctor pretty much said like I had really low muscle tone and that I was going to be behind physically all my peers. So they pretty much were ready to have a stack of, notes to excuse me from PE and all these other things. And like, yeah, he's just going to be a little bit behind. And my parents and my family were people of faith. And so ultimately we believe that God had the last say. And so they, prayed a whole bunch, took me to physical therapy. And then so for me to then grow up and win a dunk contest and end up being able to play Division I basketball is just a testament to, my parents' faith back then. And so that's kind of the start to this journey in a sense.
Yeah, man. And we'll touch on too. I think you're one of the most, and I've told you, and I've told anyone who asked me, you're one of the most dynamic guys I've ever met. And so we're going to touch on kind of your being more than an athlete, but we'd love for you to give background on folks on your upbringing and then kind of what led you to Rice.
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate that. And so I'm from San Diego, California, and played basketball pretty much my whole life. It was always a passion. I was such a gym rat, and started getting recruited around my sophomore year, started getting offers. And then when it came time to more make a decision, I decided, okay, I'm going to get a full ride scholarship. If I'm going to do that, graduate with no student loan debt, I'm going to do that at the best university I can, and then also the best program. And for me, I really like the staff, and Rice just seemed like the right fit, the right combination of athletics as well as academic opportunities was going to set me up. It wasn't just a 4-year plan. It was always a 40-year plan. And so that's how I ended up at Rice.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on a little bit of your basketball career. I remember when I got here a few years ago, first time I met you was at a preseason tip-off dinner. And at the dinner, we're surrounded with supporters of the basketball program, and you had a book with you. And I can't recall the book you had, but just how focused you were on that, and kind of how passionate you were about your reading and your studies, man. It really inspired me right off the bat. I think that was week 3 or 4 of me being on staff. But we'll talk about your career a little bit, right? I know we've talked keenly about it. Probably didn't end the way you'd like. You got hurt. The minutes kind of deteriorated a little bit, but I recall many instances, and one particular on a trip to Charlotte, where you continue to be the leader. You continue to be the leader on the sideline, on the court, regardless of what your playing time looked like. Speak on your role as a leader and how you embraced that, especially after the injury.
Yeah. So I think, you can't always control what happens, but you can always control like who you're going to be. And so I realized that coaches, they want to win. And so if they feel that I'm the person that's going to help the team best win, then I'm going to be in. So I got to take 100% responsibility. Now, what can I do to improve that, right? And so then working towards that, despite what the circumstances are. Now, if you're in a game and you're not playing, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I believe in just always contributing. And so I asked myself, okay, how can I contribute now, even if I'm not playing? So, okay, I can be the best teammate. I can always control that. No matter how many minutes I play, I can decide to be a good teammate. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the best teammate I can. I can bring energy. I'm going to work as hard as I can, right? And always bringing that to the fold is something that this stuff taught me. And, I'm not going to lie, at times it was hard. It was very hard. I remember there's games afterwards I didn't play. I would be embarrassed because I had maybe family come from out of state or something like that. And I would be in the shower, like breaking down, like straight up. It's tough. But you have a decision to make. And for me, my personal philosophy is Baker Burn. I actually got the chain on right now. It says Baker Burn. You can't see it, but what that means is in life, you're going to run into fires, and there's fires in your relationships. There's fires in your work. There's fires in your own personal life, right? And a fire is just adversity. And so once you're in the fire, you have a decision to make. Are you going to bake or are you going to burn? And for what that means is, are you going to bake? Is that fire going to be the thing that makes you and helps you actualize your potential, or is it going to crush you? And so I realized in my basketball career that I was in a fire, and I had to decide who I'm going to be and who I'm going to let this make me be. Am I going to become bitter and resentful, or I'm going to take responsibility and ownership and still contribute beyond? And so I have a bake mentality.
I love it, man. And so, that leads into kind of what I really want to touch on, man. I think I mentioned, for those joining the call right now, I got Tim Harrison. He joined us between two hedges. If you're just jumping on the call right now, remember, we do have a Q&A function. Please put questions in, looking for people to participate. We'll answer those as we go along the call or towards the end. But Tim, you're more than an athlete, man. You always has been. I think the basketball part is such a small part of your story. So let's dive in a little bit in terms of your passion for your community involvement. And let's touch on some of the things that that highlighted your career here at Rice and that are springboarding you into the future.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like basketball. It definitely is a big part. And also, like, the reason I chose Rice is the combination of athletics and academics, and Rice offers so many different things. So my freshman year, my sophomore year, I wasn't as engaged on campus as I became. And I realized, you know what, there's so many things I would hear about that happened in the past. The speaker came like, wait, how come I don't know about this stuff? And so I decided to start going out more in the community. And I got involved. The main organizations I got involved with were SAC, my sophomore, junior year, and then really the Door Institute was instrumental in my ability to then develop my own personal self and be able to take on all these things. And then I got involved with the Black Male Leadership Initiative, which those are the main things I did.
So let's talk about the Black Male Leadership Initiative. I think we've talked about it. You got involved, and obviously you had aspirations to be heavily involved, but you ended up being the president. And so that was something that kind of wasn't a part of your radar, but you were elevated to that position based off the leadership that you showed. So talk a little bit about the Black Male Leadership Initiative. If folks don't know what that is, maybe explain it a little bit, and then talk about your experience last year meeting with John Lewis.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So the Black Male Leadership Initiative, our mission was to foster a sense of brotherhood in the Rice community, right? While also developing things like leadership capacity and focusing on career orientation. Like, I believe in forming community, but not just for the sake of community, forming community for the sake of an aim. So we would always have different projects that we were working towards. And so we were building community while also developing our skills. And that was always my motto and what the vision was for it. And that was awesome, helping me find a community on campus that was outside of just athletics. That was instrumental in that. And so my first thing as president, this was last spring, when I first got inducted, we took a cultural excursion to Atlanta, right? And we visited like the College Football Hall of Fame, the different museums and all this stuff, right? And so we're at this restaurant and we're having a discussion, and it's a real serious conversation. And one of our guys, Noah Menjesteve, he ends up leaving and going to the bathroom, and he comes back and he has this look on his face. And the conversation at the time was kind of serious, but you could tell he wanted to say something, but he like didn't want to interrupt. And we're like, okay, like, what's up, Noah? And he's like, dude, John Lewis is in the bathroom. I just saw John Lewis in the bathroom. He's like freaking out. We're like, oh, whoa. So a couple of us go over, and he just happened to be there at the time. And we go talk to him like, hey, we got the Black Male Leadership Initiative at Rice University. Like, we would love to like you to come say. And so he took the time to come to speak with us. And man, that left such a huge impression on me. Just one, seeing him, just like a legendary person that you hear about, but then hearing him speak, you see that like he spoke with such conviction. You could tell that he's a man who has seen some things and has seen a lot, but to see him still be optimistic and still preaching love and still preaching like keep pushing, love your enemy, right? And then he talked about his story where he got his skull cracked in at a peaceful protest, and he saw his mentor Dr. King get killed, right? And he's seen so many things like that. And so if he's been through all of that and he's still preaching, you know what, now we got to keep working towards justice. You can't have hate in your heart and all these different things. And I'm like, you know what, who are we? Like, I haven't been through half that stuff. You know, I don't even understand half that, right? So I got to, no matter my situation, I got to also embody that. And so he really spoke to me in that sense. And just to see how he came up from a family of sharecroppers to then now where he is a congressman, it just like, I just saw triumph, you know, in his story. The fact that what he grew up in to now where we are in the present, we have 15 very sharp and intelligent young Black men from Rice University talking to a Black congressman, you know what I mean? And like, just, it painted that picture of like triumph, you know, and it just really just encouraged me. And so to hear his passing really moved me, but it just reminded me of all the things I was inspired about. So I'm trying to use that as fuel.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So a great experience there. I know your experience leading the Black Male Leadership Initiative also kind of gears you or steers you towards the Door Institute. And so talk a little about that, you know, your experience there and the transition into that type of role and the mentors you still have today, man.
Yeah, most definitely. So as I made the decision to get more involved in campus and then get even more involved in the things I was involved with, I realized that there was a lot more demand. And I'm still an athlete and I'm still going hard in practice and all that. And I'm like, okay, my life is getting a little bit more challenging. I'm dropping a couple balls. I'm learning to juggle. But I'm like, instead of wishing it was easier, I wish I was better. And that's one of my philosophies from Jim Rohn. And so I decided, okay, how can I increase my personal capacity? I was already reading into personal development, so I needed something more. So that's when I got involved with the Door Institute and received leadership coaching, and would go to different workshops and catalysts where they would talk about delegation, they'll talk about conflict management and all that. And that helped me out so much, not only in the sense that I learned, was equipped, but then I had someone to hold me accountable through that. And I can talk through the strategies, and they let me come up with my own conclusions, but then they help build my ideas even more. And that really helped me to be able to not only handle and manage, but to excel at the different things that I was doing. So the Door was instrumental in my leadership development.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, recently, Door Institute and Tim were featured in an article in Fortune magazine, which I told Tim candidly, you know, I've been thinking about with the series we have for the summer. I'd love to have a student athlete or recent grad be a part of this. And you know, I've got to know Tim a little bit through the years, and that article popped up on my radar. I was like, oh, Tim. I was like, Tim would be perfect. And so, Tim, I'm glad you're jumping on this. We have a few questions. One's pertinent to the Door Institute right now. So I got a question from Jan West. Can you talk more about your leadership style based on what you learned at the Door Institute?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, hi, Jan. How's it going? And then my personal leadership style, what they do is at the beginning, you take like an assessment. And so it lays out like, what are some of your strengths and not. What I realized that I gravitate towards is the vision. I like seeing the end goal, beginning with the end in mind, and then articulating that vision. And so what I would do as president, I would go around and I would try to create opportunities for us. So I would know what our mission is, our mission statement. I would have everybody pitch in what they wanted to get out of it. And then once I had that, I was like, okay, so people want to learn about this thing. Let's go to the CDC and let's get a little resume workshop, or LinkedIn, how to build your LinkedIn profile. And I'll go talk with someone. And then I'll find, okay, who on our team, given their skill set and given where they want to go, is best to lead this project. So then I put someone there, and then, okay, now who underneath that could help them and support that. So now they're leading with a team under them. And then I'll go and try to put people on the different projects around, given where we're trying to go. And then I would just try to manage them in that sense. So like more of the big picture thinking, the strategy and creating opportunities. And then I'm learning like networking is really just relationship building. And so once you switch it from like trying to like always build, you know, get opportunities and stuff, to how is a mutual relationship, how can everyone benefit, not just one side, then I think that really helped me be more effective as a leader. And that's the leadership style that I continue to carry into things that I'm pursuing now.
Awesome stuff. One last question is, do you have a favorite book and why?
Shoot, man, that's a tough one. I'll say specifically right now for leadership, one of my favorite books recently is Start With Why, just as far as articulating a vision and understanding like how to position yourself in certain things. If you want to gather people around a cause, that's been instrumental. And man, there's so many, but 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, and then Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins are probably some of the foundational ones.
And you're old school, right? You go classical paperback or hardback. You don't do the digital Nook or the Kindle, do you?
Well, actually I do though. So I like both. I'm a sucker for both. So I have that, but I also have a little product placement right here.
Yeah, man.
But I love that thing because I can take it on the go. And when we travel on the plane, I can just have it versus all these bulky books in my backpack. So,
Well, good stuff, man. So, last I can't remember how many how many months it was, but I was in the gym watching practice when you non-contact. You go down, you blow at the knee. I know at the time it was a dark place, you're devastated, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise because it gave you the opportunity to have the time, some flexibility to take on the internship at Schlumberger.
Yeah, but you were there.
I was in the gym, man. We were in the
Wow.
stands up there. Yeah, we were in the gym. We were up in the stands, and so I remember. I think I actually reached out to you on either LinkedIn or somehow right after check on surgery. You kind of gave me an update on hey, we'll be a few weeks, but yeah, we were up there in the gym watching. So it led to led to your opportunity to take on the internship at Schlumberger. Talk a little bit, and then we'll transition to your bright future after Rice.
Yeah, most definitely. So like that period, I remember I was in a defensive drill, non-contact. I just cut, and then boom, I felt something buckle. I knew something was torn off the bat, and I was like, man, my mind goes fast, right? And I'm like, okay, this is probably like it was at the end of the season. I'm like, I'm probably gonna be the end of the season, and I found myself in the fire again, like I was talking about earlier. And you know what? I'm like, dang, there's all these things I wanted to do. I still wanted to keep pushing at my junior season. Now there's all these things that I'm not able to do. But instead of focusing on what I can't do anymore, I started focusing on, okay, what new opportunities are there, right? Having a bake mentality. What new things can I do? And so now that I'm out of commission for practices, I was able to take on this internship through the Leadership Rice Mentorship Experience at Rice, which is an amazing program. And so I got at Schlumberger. And so I knew it was going to be tough because I was still recovering, but that just really taught me. I had a great experience. That just really taught me that being a student athlete gives you an edge in a corporate setting. And I saw it plain and clear. Like I remember that was probably one of the hardest periods where I worked. So I would get up at 4:30 a.m. every day. I do a miracle morning routine for the first hour of my day. So 4:30, 5:30, then I'll head over, get rehab in with Dean for an hour. Then I'll go upper body lift with Sean and Vince. Then I'll go drive over to Schlumberger, get there at 8 a.m., an hour before the other interns, work there till 5. And at the time, I was also running an online business where I was flipping furniture. So I then go to Home Depot, rent out a truck, go pick up furniture, right? And then host it in my garage and then sell it online. And then I was in 2 classes and I was just doing all that back to back to back to back to back to back. And I was just grinding, but I realized that athlete mentality is what helped me to do that. Right. And I just noticed like working in a team, being able to handle with adversity, it just gave me such pride being an athlete in a corporate setting. And so you realize that the cool thing about athletes is we face failure at a much more frequent clip than the average person. And if you learn from failure, that means you're going to learn a lot faster because every single practice you have many competitions and you either win or you lose. If you lose, you run, right? And so you learn not to get used to failure, but you learn that it's you survive from it and you learn from it. And so afterwards, like we watch film, right? So whether you win or lose, you watch film, you're okay, what did I do? And you reflect and you update. And that right there is the recipe for winning, not just on the court, but outside of it. And so I started to see that more clearly. It gave me more pride. And the fact that I was able to get that internship then gave me that confidence. And then I wanted to get into consulting. I approached it with a little bit more certainty. And fortunately, I was able to get an offer extended from a couple of companies, and I accepted one from Accenture Strategy, and I'm excited to start there in the fall.
Well, we're going to touch on your post-career, your post-Rice life. One thing you mentioned that I've never heard before, Miracle Morning. What is that? Can you describe it? What is that?
Yeah, so Miracle Morning is a book by Hal Jordan, and it's this morning routine where you spend the first hour of your day working on what's most important. So there's an acronym called SAVERS, SAVERS. And so it's like first solitude, you spend some time meditating. I'll read the word or I'll spend some time in prayer as well as meditating. And then affirmations, visualizing, and then you do a little exercise, read, and then write. And so every single morning I carve out some time to do that. Fortunately, with quarantine, I'm able to do it a little bit more than an hour. So I'm making sure that I'm sharpening my mind. First thing, I'm learning something. And then it's already a win. If you start your day off with that, you already won the morning. Then the rest of the day is just a bonus. And I feel like it gives you such an edge, especially over and over again. So I've been getting up at 5:55. I like the 3 5s, even during quarantine. And it helps provide some structure to my day, as well as ensure that I'm constantly learning something.
That's fantastic, man. Great stuff. It's the first time I'd heard that, so I'm looking forward to digging in that a little bit more. I wonder if they have something for a father of two toddlers. Maybe there's a miracle morning I can jump into on that end.
I'm sure there is.
There got to be. I need it. All right. So you mentioned Accenture, right? So that's Accenture is one part of your life after Rice here and kind of the bright future you have. So touch on that briefly, and then I definitely want to give you the opportunity to talk about your nonprofit that you're launching as well.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, Accenture, I'm very excited. I was always interested in like psychology, so that's why I ended up majoring here. I was always interested in leadership, and then I also had these entrepreneurial kind of things that I was pursuing throughout my life. And I was like, okay, you know what? I believe in like pursuing what you're passionate about, because that's the only way your heart's going to be in it. So I'm like, what career can I have that can kind of merge all of the three? And so I started to hear about consulting, and there's a certain branch of consulting that deals with like leadership and organizations. And I know that Accenture had a really good program there for that. And I was like, okay, that's something potential. And so work towards that. Obviously, the Schlumberger internship helped, being involved with BMLI and stuff like that prepared me to have like a well-versed resume. And so went through that rigorous interview process and landed an offer. And I'm very excited about it.
We're excited for you, man. I know another thing you're very excited about is your nonprofit. Yep. So on that, what that means.
Yeah. So at the end of the year, like graduating, and then COVID happens, right? I had all these big plans to travel the world, and I've been saving up money. Not only that, I actually, I'll say this now, but at the end of the season, like I'm part Filipino. And so some schools in the Philippines wanted me to come out there and just try out and play and maybe play in this tournament. And so I actually had a flight booked the weekend after our conference tournament to go out there for the first time and try out. I was really looking forward to that, but then that's when everything shut down. So then once again, there's the fire. I had been saving up, looking forward to all these different things, and that was taken away. So I'm like, instead of focusing on what was taken away, what new opportunities present themselves? So me having an entrepreneurial mindset and having this dream of having a place where people can go and just get their whole self developed, like not just their mind, but their body, their being, and just have a one-stop shop. Because it always bothered me that if you really wanted to make the most of your life, some people have either personal or environmental limitations. And so going into the nonprofit, I'm like, okay, what can I do as Tim Harrison, given my skill set, given my passions, what aspect of that problem can I address and move forward? And so being involved with DOOR opened me up to the possibility of coaching, because I saw in myself how much it was able to change and increase my capacity. And the fact that they have a model that doesn't pass on the cost to their students, I was like, I wonder if there's a way for us to have coaching and then allow it to not pass the cost on to people who couldn't afford it, because most people can't afford executive coaching. So I looked into that. I started developing that idea, and that's why I came with this nonprofit idea. So the name of it is EPOG Academy. EPOG stands for the enjoyable pain of growth, right? And so our vision is to live in a world where people who strive to reach their full potential are inspired and equipped beyond their personal and environmental limitations. So our mission is to make top-tier coaching services, leadership development programs, and holistic educational resources available and affordable so all people can achieve their goals regardless of the environmental limitations. So I've been working closely with the director of the DOOR Institute, Tom Kolditz. I've been working with a lot of people on the Rice Network. The team has been building, has been growing. I actually have a partner now who actually quit his corporate job to then now work on this full time. And it's been gaining a lot of traction. It's very exciting. It's thrilling. I'm working from home right now. I was thinking about, it's so crazy how now I was thinking about traveling to all these different places, but now I end up working. But this is just so much more fulfilling and thriving. And then now we actually have, we're going to be running a pilot in September with 8 Million Stories Houston, who's an organization who services kids who have been in and out of the criminal justice system. And we're going to help service their kids. Executive coaches are going to help them have a map out for their life so they don't end up back in the system. And then we're going to equip them with resources so that they can learn and go beyond that limitation. And so that's one of the groups we're going to service. And then we want to continue to grow. So right now we're working on just getting the kinks together. I probably have a team of about 10 people just from all over that are excited, passionate about it, continually working on it. And we're getting to the point where we're starting to now look into getting some seed funding, because we're going to need to have to pay for some things just to get this in operation. But I'm very excited about it. And the process of growing it has been stretching me. But it's funny because the name is The Enjoyable Pain of Growth. And it's having to do with that Baker Burn mentality as well. And so in the process of building EPOG, I'm actually experiencing EPOG, but it's been a thrill.
Man, we talk about, Dr. Carlgard is one of your mentors. We talk a lot in terms of creating an environment where our student athletes can squeeze the most out of their experience, right? Where they're empowered to take on everything that Rice has to offer. And you're the embodiment of that, man. So I'm so proud of you and so excited to see the future. I know we're all going to track you from behind. We're finished up. There's a few things I want to get to. One, a quick note in, right? So from Jen Overton. Hi, Tim. I'm Jen Overton, and my husband and I are on the Rice Stat crew. It was a pleasure keeping your stats and watching you all these years. You're awesome, and we wish you the best of luck. So some fun to finish up. Just for those who know, who aren't certain, we will have this recording. I know there's some folks that wrote in about getting this recording, getting this link to share within their networks. We will get that out. And so stay tuned. Tim, last week I had JP on here. We talked about communication, and I think you're one of the best, that you communicate so many different fashions, but you're one of the best to articulate your passions, your thoughts, your visions. And at the end of this call, I want to make sure that the audience here gets to see your spoken word. That's really deep and really moving, really powerful stuff. Before we get to that, though, I would love for you to share some parting words to current Rice student athletes on what they should take away from this experience.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. There's a lot of different compliments in there. I really appreciate that. Thanks for having me and giving me a platform to now tell my story. As far as leaving words for student athletes, I'd say know that you're more than just an athlete. That's a cliche, but take pride in being an athlete, and also know that that gives you an edge. And throughout my Rice experience, what I've observed is you never really are ready. Right? Don't wait until you're ready. You got to go out there, and that's how you get ready. And so you got to just embrace that enjoyable pain of growth. When you throw yourself into something, there's going to be some, adversity. There's going to be some growing pains. You're going to stretch yourself, but then work on increasing your capacity. So find out what resources are in your environment, right, to increase your own capacity. And then that's how you get ready, and then you're able to take on more. So I'd say just be more than an athlete. And you're never ready, so just do it. If not now, then when? If not me, then who?
Great words, man. I'm going to give you an opportunity to frame what we're about to show right here. I'm going to share the screen on your spoken word. Quickly introduce what about the show.
Yeah, so the spoken word is called Black Privilege. And in light of all the racial tensions and the new wave of civil rights that's happening right now, this is a spoken word that part of it I wrote years ago, part of it I wrote recently, but it's addressing my own subjective experience of what it means to be an African American in the context of all the different parts of my identity that I'm also part of. So whether that's African American and student athlete, African American and 6'8", African American and named Tim Harrison, right? So you guys will see more. I think we're only going to show the first 3 minutes.
We'll show a clip of it, and then where can they find the rest? Where's your social? Where's the way best place to find the rest of the video?
Yeah, the rest of it will be on my Instagram at Timothy_John_. It'll be a little bit down, or just go on my IGTV, and feel free to give me a follow along the way.
All right, here we go. So give me a second here to get this up.
Was slavery that close, or was it that far away? Because my great-great-grandpa was a slave, but now we drive whips and we rock chains where the noose is used to hang. But you could jog down the street and still get slain. What does it mean to be an African American? Middle-class black, grew up in a white town. Looking around, the only face in the white crowd that's brown. That's how I grew up. Had no clue what that meant for me until I grew up and found out. Everybody don't see us the same. What does that mean for me? The question got through to my brain. What does it mean to be an African American? Because honestly, I'm not that in touch with my African heritage. When I went to Africa, all I was American. And when I came back, my blackness is more apparent. And growing up, being called African was embarrassing. Because in school, I was taught that I should hate that comparison. No one seemed to notice every time I cut my hair again. Don't know where I fit in because I don't quite fit the paradigm. History showed pictures of the pharaohs with the fair skin, so I never knew that I was royalty's kin. But when learning about the slaves, kids joked and said, hey, it's Tim. And I can't blame them. We say Africa like it's a nation, African like it's a language, and all they show on TV is kids with flies on their faces, people living in huts running around half naked with big stomachs and visible rib cages, and I couldn't relate to that. So I thought, am I a different type of black? What does it mean to be an African American and dark skinned? I swear middle school kids can be the harshest every day in class saying I'm looking like a tar pit. Back then, my skin felt like a target for everyone to shoot at. But high school came, I could hoop and I could rap, and all of a sudden it's cool to be black. Until I get pulled over, police shoot at my cap because I was moving too fast. Just put your hands up. Don't show no emotions, you gotta act tough. And don't you dare for help, you better man up. What does it mean to be an African American? Growing up, I was a lot of my friends, black friend. Got to know the rap songs and the dance trends. Ask, do these white girls think I'm handsome? Or do they like my type and want to have some? What does it mean to be an African American and a student athlete?
Tim, fantastic stuff, man. Fantastic stuff. Everyone, I encourage you guys one more time on your IG handle where they can find the rest of this.
Yo, yeah, Timothy_John_. I put it in the chat as well.
Awesome. Hey, Tim, everyone that joined us, thank you for joining us. Tim, appreciate your time. We're going to do it next Thursday. I'll have Tina Villard, our Senior Associate Athletic Director for Campus Rec, to speak on her experiences here and what she's going through right now as well. So thank you again, Tim. Appreciate you, man. We look forward to watching all your success, man. So like always, enjoy this Thursday. Go Owls.
Yeah, go Owls. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.